Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and call the regular board meeting for Western Municipal Water District to order at the 9:30 hour.
And if I may, Madam President, also call to order, I would recommend we call to order the special meeting of the Facilities Authority to run concurrently.
Yes, I was getting to that. Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Frey.
sorry.
I was going to explain that we were also doing that. Thank you for that. So that saves me that announcement. And if everyone could go ahead and please silence your cell phones, put them on stun. We will go ahead and, Madam Secretary, if you could read in our COVID protocols, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Pursuant to Western Municipal Water District Resolution 3196, in an effort to protect the public health, prevent the spread of COVID-19, and because state and local officials are recommending measures to promote social distancing, the public may view this board meeting online or virtually via Zoom. The public may also attend the meeting in person. Masks will be required for members of the public who have not received the COVID-19 vaccination. This meeting will be live streamed at WesternMWD.com. As stated on the agenda, members of the public who wish to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the district or any item on the agenda may make comments in person, virtually via Zoom, or by submitting comments on the district's website. Comments received on the district's website before 4:30 p.m. November 2nd, 2021 will be made part of the board meeting record. For those participating in the Zoom virtual meeting who wish to provide public comments, please indicate such by using the raise hand feature, and we will call on you individually. You can access the raise hand feature by opening the participant list and clicking the raise hand button at the bottom of the list. For those participating by telephone who wish to provide public comment, you may do so by pressing *6 to unmute yourself. Phone callers can also press *9 to activate the raise hand feature. If there is more than one caller, you will be identified and called on one at a time. Any public comment will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. However, the presiding officer reserves the right to reduce the amount of time you will be allowed to speak to ensure that all members of the public have an opportunity to provide their comment. I will now take roll call for the meeting. Due to the complexity of conducting this meeting by Zoom and telephonically, I will not be taking roll call for staff members or the public at this time. Director Roten.
Here.
Thank you. Good morning. Director Rizvi. Director Rizvi, you're muted.
Good morning, I'm here.
Thank you. Good morning. Director Gardner.
Present.
Director Torres.
Here.
Thank you. Good morning. And President Denstedt.
I am present. Good morning.
Good morning. President Denstedt, you do have a quorum today.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and move to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I understand we still have recordings from one of our employees.
We do. Lisa Lemoyne from our Water Resources Department will be doing the pledge for us.
Fantastic. Everybody could please stand.
I'm Lisa Lemoyne. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you to our employees who continue to do the pledge for us. I think something I really like and enjoy. This one positive out of the Zoom environment that we've gotten, so thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and call for public comment. This is for any item which is not currently posted on our agenda under the jurisdiction of this agency and body to be able to act upon, and that would include for the Facilities District as well as the regular board meeting. If Madam Secretary, is there anyone who wishes to speak under public comment today?
President Denstedt, I see no requests to speak on Zoom. We've had no requests in person, and I have not received any written requests for this meeting.
Is there anyone on a phone line?
I see no requests to speak.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead, move on to our consent calendar. Is there anybody who has any questions on anything in the consent calendar? Any member of the public wishing to comment on any item on our consent calendar? Director Roten has her hand up. Okay.
Just that on the minutes, item A, I would register an abstention.
Thank you very much. And was that a motion to approve the balance?
Madam Chair.
Oh,
approved.
yes.
Thank you so much.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve and a second. We'll go ahead and call for the roll call vote, please.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Rizvi,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Yes.
Director Torres,
Yes.
President Dinstead.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0 on items B, C, and D, and 4-1 on item A with Director Roten abstaining.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to any items to be added to the agenda today. Mr. Foray or Mr. Miller?
Nothing to add to the agenda. However, I'm requesting that we pull item 7B from the agenda. The developer contacted me and asked that that be deferred to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Foray?
I have nothing else.
Thank you.
And unless there's some objection, then that matter can be pulled and brought back in the next meeting.
Any comments from any board members on pulling at the request of the applicant on 7B? Okay, hearing none. We'll go ahead and move on to our 7 action agenda for 7A. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, item 7A, unfortunately, this is a resolution 3202 honoring the life and water service of Art Littleworth. Art is very famous in the water world for everything that he's done. He was a stalwart in water rights, wrote books, autographed books for staff members on water rights, really defined a lot of water law and practice in our watershed. We have a long history with Mr. Littleworth of great service, and he was a real credit to the water industry. And I know that BB&K is going to miss him, just like we're all going to miss him. And I'd asked Jeff Foray to maybe make a couple of comments about Art's service to Western and to the community.
Well, thank you, Craig. As you know, Art was a major player in the water law judgments that created the water masters in north and south of Prado, and for which Western plays a major role. And he was honored to serve this district for many, many years. His family was certainly touched when they were informed that Western had adjourned their last meeting in his honor. And so a number of other districts have as well. And if this resolution passes, we'll be passing that on to the family as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. Are there any members of the board who wishes to make any comment in regard to this?
I would. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to say this. I'm honored that we're doing this for Art Littleworth. He was somebody that I looked up to a lot of my water career before even being here. And I remember when my high school named building after him, or theater after him, and what a big deal that was. So, with that being said, I move this item.
Madam Chair, I'll second, but I'd also like to add a comment. Mr. Littleworth was certainly a giant in the water world, but he was a major leader in other areas in the community as well. Probably the key one is in school desegregation. He was the champion for Riverside Unified School District voluntarily desegregating their schools back in the 1960s. And RUSD was the first school district in the country to voluntarily desegregate, and that was Art's doing. So that the breadth of his contribution to our community is huge. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Director Rizvi or Director Routen, any comments?
Yes, this is This is Laura.
Go ahead.
Is it okay if I go?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to suggest that we consider a third bullet point under the community leader section. And I just drew up a very short draft, which I can send in if you want, but it just reads like this. After bullet number 2, it would say and then number 3 would be as an early chairperson of the UC Riverside Citizens University Committee, which was founded in 1948 by Riverside community leaders for the purpose of bringing a University of California campus to Riverside.
Thank you very much for that suggestion. I don't think anybody has any problem with adding all of his relevant and history, the successes that he had, the contributions that he had in his life. So I think that is a very appropriate thing to add. And I'm sure the board secretary would appreciate you forwarding that verbiage to her to include that in that.
Do I need to amend my motion? No.
Okay. Director Rizvi, any comments?
My deepest condolences to the family and to the community. I would like to thank the family for the services he's done for our water district and the community. So my deepest condolences.
Thank you for those comments. Madam Secretary, was there any member of the public who wished to comment on this item?
I see no requests to speak at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. As I mentioned at the prior meeting, when we found out of his passing, I had the pleasure of meeting him at our old building. He was definitely what I consider a water giant. He wasn't very large in stature, but he certainly was in water. And he made a huge impression on this industry, in this valley, in the community as a whole, and not just in water, in a reflection of his life and his contributions. I hope that is something that we can all aspire to. So with that, we have a motion and a second to approve that and forward it off, I'm sure, to the family through the agencies with our gratitude and our condolences. Madam Secretary, if we could go ahead and call the roll, please.
Thank you. Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
Director Gardner?
Aye.
Director Torres?
Yes.
President Dinstead?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move. 7B has been pulled at the request of the applicant, so we'll carry that forward and continue it to our next regular agenda. Is that my understanding, Mr. Miller?
That is correct.
For November the 17th?
17th, we will make sure we check with the party
Okay.
to ensure that they're okay with it moving, but that's the plan.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to 7C for the bond revenue series.
This is a required report out. This is a report on the expenditures and proceeds of Western's 2020 Series A revenue bonds. Anna Briones from our finance group is here to give us a report on this item.
And I just want to make a clarification so that our new members understand. Mr. Ferre, could you go ahead and give an explanation that these two items as 7C and 8A are the same thing? Is that correct?
Are the same thing done through the Facilities Authority and the Board of Directors?
Yes.
Yes, they are the same thing.
And do we need to take a
Separate
second
motion.
vote for
right, you would
8A?
take two different votes because there's two different entities. But you can receive one, if your question is one staff report, yeah, you can get one.
Are we going to make
Yes, but
Anna do the presentation twice?
Yes, you can do that together.
Right. I just want to make
They will
sure.
read your mind on that one.
No. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that one is under the general district and one is under the facilities authority. So we'll have to take two motions and move two items on that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dinstead, and thank you, Craig. Good morning, everyone. So as Craig mentioned, this is the report on expenditures from proceeds of Western's 2020 Series A revenue bonds. Our Western's debt and financial management policies require the periodic reporting of the expenditures from the proceeds of these bonds. Currently, Western's 2020A series revenue bonds meet this reporting requirement, specifically for the new money portion of the 2020A bonds. The 2020A bonds was issued to refinance the 2010 Build America bonds and the 2016A revenue bond, and then issued 25.5 million of new money proceeds to finance capital improvements. So of the 25.5 million of bond proceeds, 3,875,568 has been spent for capital projects, with 21.6 million remaining unspent funds as of August 31st, 2021. So this concludes my summary. The recommendation is that the board receive and file the report. And then also for 8A, that the Facilities Authority receive and file the report.
Thank you very much. Is there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item?
I see no request to speak at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from any member of the board?
No, thank you for your time, though.
Okay. If there's no comments, no questions, looking for a motion.
So move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. That would be for 7C. Is that correct, Director Torres? Yes. Okay. So we have a motion and a second for 7C.
Thank you. Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Rizvi,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
President Instead.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. All right, and the same thing applies for the Facilities Authority for 8A. Looking for any member of the public who wants to make any comment on that item.
I see no requests.
Okay,
Madam President, I move approval.
thank you very
I'll
much.
second it. I'll
Okay.
second it.
I have a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and call for the vote on 8A.
Director Roten,
Yes, but I just had a quick question. Is it too late to ask
No,
that?
absolutely, you can ask your question.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood. So the board sits as the Facilities Authority Board of Directors as well?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I understood that. Thank you.
Was that a yes?
Oh, yes, that's a yes.
Thank you very much.
Director Rizvi,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Aye.
President Instead.
Yes,
The motion carries 5-0.
thank you very much.
And just real briefly, if I may, if there are questions about how the two work together, I'm sure Rod can inform the new board members or walk them through how facilities authorities work. And
Yes.
I mean, later, at some point, I'm just saying.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We'll make sure that that happens. Okay, moving on to reports on our agenda. We are moving into staff reports. Report from General Counsel, Mr. Ferre.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. Just wanted to mention that SB 274, which was signed by the governor recently. The Brown Act requires that members of the public who request copies of agendas and agenda packets be entitled to receive those via mail in a timely fashion. As with other parts of the Brown Act, the technology changes over the years, and so SB 274 has included now an option for a request to be email, as opposed to simply sending in a written request for agenda packets and agendas. And it lays out a process by which the district can respond via an email with a copy of the agenda or a link to the agenda and copies of the documents that make up the packet. If the packet is too large to send via an email, then the mail copy can be sent. So I just wanted to mention, we already do that here whenever possible, but this law makes it clear that requests for agendas and agenda packets can be made on a regular basis and can be done via an email as opposed to simply putting a request in the mail.
I'm glad our laws are catching up to the 21st century.
That's all I have.
20th century, because
That's
the
right.
email's been around a long time.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Mr. Miller.
All right, I've got a couple of different items today. So as required, our COVID-19 update. As of Friday, October 29th, there were no reported cases of COVID-19 among staff, so that's good. We did see a little spike in September, but October, we've been doing very well. All the staff that was affected in September is back at work and doing well, so we're happy about that, obviously. The finance team has submitted our reimbursement application to the state for $644,000 in eligible past due water bills, so that's great news. Thanks to Kevin and his team for really working hard to stay on top of that and understand the rules and actually maybe even helping the state develop those rules. We still have an outstanding balance of $900,000, 31 days or more, of which $720,000, did I say that right? $909,000 is 31 days or more. $720,000 is past due 61 days or more. So that $644,000 will subtract out of the $720, assuming that all of what we've applied for is granted by the state. So that's all moving along quickly. Let's see, RPU wheeling agreement. So just want to give you a real quick update. We have an annual operating agreement that we approve with the city. The contractual amount for wheeling and purchase of water is 7,200 acre feet for the year. We're going to be about 1,700 acre feet short of that this year. RPU had several issues during the summer with wells that went out of service and some capacity challenges in the summer, so they weren't able to meet the 7,200 acre feet, which is, they don't get penalized in any way. There's a full understanding that, you know, they're going to do everything they can to get us the water. So just wanted to report out on that, and then I just signed the operating agreement for the next year. We're going to try really hard to get back to the 7,200 next year, but they still are, I guess, warning us that a couple of their wells still aren't back in service, so we'll try and figure out how to get to the 7,200. So let's see, a couple of updates. So at the last board meeting, Director Torres requested that we report on the flume watering devices.
Thank you.
The metering devices. So Rob Whipple has a presentation on our conservation measures after I'm finished right here. So we'll do that. Director Torres also requested a presentation on how the public can report water waste. So we'll be taking that back to ComGov to discuss that. And then Director Torres also at the engineering committee meeting on Monday had asked about a press release from Congressman Calvert's office, which we hadn't seen. So we found that and provide that for all the board members to review. So with that, happy to answer any questions, but those are all the comments I have. And if you don't have any questions, we'll turn it over to Rob Whipple.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions? And I assume Rob is on
He's
Zoom?
on Zoom.
Okay, great.
Right here.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I just want to do a quick update on some of the programs that we've got rolling out, both here in the fall and then toward the beginning of the year, to help with, all of our drought support for our customers. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. So you've heard about some of these. The welcome packet is going out to new customers, and the landscape style guide is in process. We're working on more of a comprehensive marketing plan for all of these things, but we've got the style guide available for customers now, and the digital version is on our website. And as we discussed before, the online store will debut at the first of the year. And so that's still in progress right there. And we can go to the next slide. And then the Ratio program. And so this was the weather-based controller program. It's an instant rebate versus the customer having to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get their money back. So it can help customers who may not be able to afford that initial upfront cost. It's similar to other Wi-Fi controllers, and it is also available through Metropolitan, so there's no double dipping or anything like that. Our instant rebate's about $100 there, and then the cost to the customer is about $70, which they can then go to Metropolitan and get that $70 back as a rebate if they want to do that. And then the amount's going to be the same either way if they go through this platform or our regular rebate process. So I made it so that they don't get $400 from us instead of just the amount that they spent. Okay, and so Flume. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about this. The Flume is a device that straps around our meter, and it reads the magnetic signal, translates that into a real-time flow. And so just a reminder here, all the Flume is doing is reading our meter. Our meter is the source of the data. Flume is just reading it, but it is also providing that flow down to, for the customer, it'll be a minute, but it's also reading it down to 5 seconds, and it can disaggregate between indoor and outdoor uses. So that'll be useful for the customer, and they get to see it on their phone. So that's kind of a neat thing. They don't have to log into any of our websites. Go ahead and next slide, please. So it has a dashboard both for the customer and for us. So we can use the dashboard to see the indoor, outdoor peak use and things like that. They'll be useful for us. And basically the customer will go to the Flume website. So it's a Flume website /Western, that kind of thing. And they'll get an instant rebate similar to the platform for Ratio. The final cost of the customer is $50 and the Western rebate's $123. So basically that's what we're providing there. And with this pilot program, we're looking at about 160 Flumes for a total of about $20,000. And then we'll review and see how it went and if there were any issues or if we want to go ahead and continue that. All right, next slide. And just here's a picture of a real life Flume installed in the wild. Actually, this is Mr. Soria's meter, and the Flume that he got it through his insurance, but not through our program. But that's what it looks like when it's strapped around the meter. And so just a couple things about the Flume. Again, we are going to have our AMI, we're going to have our portal, and that'll give customers their reads down to about an hour. But again, Flume's down to the minute, and it can give you a much more real-time read, and it is on their phone. They don't have to log into our portal. We've seen that as an obstacle to other districts that have portals. Customers may not want to log in, but if they have it on their phone, that's prime real estate, and they might be more likely to pay attention to their water use. And again, we can use it on our side. We can see this usage, and we can see what times a day people are using water, and we can use that as a peak flow times and things like that. So that may be useful for operations. And just a reminder, our meter is always going to be used for billing. The Flume isn't actually measuring the water. It's just reading our meter and reporting it a little sooner than they would get from us. And there are probably over 7,000, 7,000 Flumes installed, at least 3,300 in California. And there haven't been any reports of any billing disputes or any issues like that. Haruba, our neighbor over here, has 450 Flumes installed, and they had no issues. Marin up in Northern California had over 1,000, and they've had no issues as well. All right, so hopefully that provides a little bit additional information on the Flume there, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Okay.
I do want to just thank Rob. Rob is my secret weapon when it comes to ratepayers. They love talking to him. And actually, Director Roughton, I was alerted about this program through one of my ratepayers, but because of Harupa Community Services District has implemented this program with our support. So it seems like it is very successful and something that our ratepayers are interested in. So thank you for the presentation.
Okay, any other comments? Okay. Moving right along, is that the end of your report for general managers?
That is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on to director's reports. SAPA.
Excuse me. SAPA met earlier this week, took two actions. Well, one as the commission. We received a report on the Sunny Slope Harupa Ditch conversion to a pipeline project. This is an old water delivery system, it's fed by an RPU well, and it ends up in Sunny Slope Creek over by the old Louis Rubidoux Nature Center. It's important environmentally because Sunny Slope Creek is prime breeding habitat for the Santa Ana sucker, a protected fish. It's important as a water resource for a variety of customers. Part of the planned, what SAPA is doing is applying for a grant application under the Department of Water Resources Drought Relief Program. And if this is approved, it would fund essentially major repair and conversion from open ditch to pipeline of the Harupa Ditch, and also could fund two new wells. Riverside County Parks is a participant, or is anticipated to be a participant in the application, and they are a significant water user for irrigation in that area. So this will be a benefit to them if it goes through. It will come back for approval by the SAPA board at their next meeting. The Project Agreement 24 Committee, which is the brine line, authorized general manager to execute a contract for up to, not quite $51,000, for professional services to help develop a reserve policy, financial reserve policy for the brine line operations. And that will move forward. The reserve policy is something that's not been visited in quite some time, so it's a good idea to take a look at it. And that was it.
Okay, thank you very much. For Metropolitan, we meet next week, so I'll have a report at the next meeting. Cheeto Basin Water Master.
Meeting coming up.
Okay. CDA.
It's tomorrow.
Okay. RICRA.
Not till next month.
Okay. It's going to be real quick. All right, WRCOG, it was a very quick meeting the other day. There was some changes to the conflict of interest code. There were some updates as far as COVID was concerned. A lot of stuff going on with TUMP, which does not involve us. And then there were a couple of changes to the requests for the bylaws. So those were updated. And then the biggest thing going on over at WRCOG is the closed session issues in regard to litigation that's currently going on because of Renovate America. So that is all I have to report for WRCOG. Report from Sarah.
It wasn't supposed to be next week, but it's canceled till next year, early next year. So
Oh, okay.
we're dark in December.
But they have a beautiful plant now that's in full operation, so
Yes.
we're happy about that. Okay. Moving on to director's comments. So we'll start with Director Roughton. Any comments today?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. Director Rizvi, any comments?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Gardner, comments today?
Yes, please. I have a sad announcement. Some of you I know are aware, but others may not, and the public may not be fully aware as yet. Our former director, Judge Charlie Field, and he went by Charlie. He was always Charlie, not Charles. Passed away this last Saturday. He was an excellent director for Western. He was a outstanding judge in the Riverside Superior Courts, heavily involved early in UCR, and was one of their first graduates. He will be missed for his community activities, the service he provided, and his truly wicked sense of humor. And I would ask that we adjourn in his memory today.
Thank you very much for those comments. Director Torres, comments today?
Yes, I did just want to comment on Director Gardner's SAPA reports. I think it's amazing that there's that potential for investing in Sunny Slope. I just had the privilege of working closely with a lot of the advocates of Sunny Slope Channel in a trash identification program. It's from my work, but it was very eye-opening of how important that channel is. I tend to work in the Coachella Valley. That's where I do a lot of my work. So seeing that's amazing. And then I did want to just acknowledge that it is Indigenous Peoples Native American Heritage Month. So I invite you all to take out time of your month and learn about the rich history and contributions of Native and Indigenous people. And if we have any in our staff and I just want to say I see you, and just know that you're important to us. So, and then lastly, I did want to comment on the letter from Representative Calvert about declaring a state of emergency in order to release more water. This seems to be contrary to the message that we have been saying. We don't want an emergency declared and having us conserve more and having us do a 15% conservation. So I think it's important that we stay on message. We've done a great job in Southern California, particularly our water district, ensuring that we have reserves to hold us through this drought. So that so I did want to comment on that.
Okay. And as far as comments in regard to Charlie, Charlie served on this board for 8 years. It was certainly my honor to be elected at the same time that he was when we started together. You are absolutely correct, Director Gardner. He had a wicked sense of humor, some of which I certainly cannot share. Charlie was a huge force in this valley. He not only was on this board, but he had served as a Superior Court judge for many years. He served as a managing partner for BB&K for many years. He served on the Law Library Board. He was on the Board of Regents. He was the first graduating class for UCR. He served on the Mission Inn Board. I mean, we could go on for days. He was part of the gardens over at Maloof, the gardens that were over there, and was an intricate part in that, and did a lot of time over there. And we went and toured that because of his encouragement. He was a giant. We have a scholarship when he left this board and retired, and we actually have a scholarship in his honor over at UCR as being one of the first graduating class from UCR back in 1950, I want to say, somewhere around there, folks. But Charlie meant a tremendous amount of water information and his legal knowledge for a lot of things that we were dealing with. He went and testified at the state on behalf of the Seven Oaks Dam. He went and testified tried to get our credit ratings upgraded. He did a tremendous amount to represent this board and everything that we have accomplished that took us many years. He was a very intricate part of that, and it was a tremendous loss when he decided not to run for re-election here and leave this board, but certainly it's a tremendous loss for Riverside and for the county and for water, for law, for just being an upstanding person. And so I really, he really encouraged me to go to law school, and he said that all the time. So God bless Charlie, God bless his contributions. My daughter and I had a very long discussion about him because he bought Girl Scout cookies from her every single season. And he will be missed by my family, by this agency, and we want to offer our sincere condolences to his entire family and to the legal community and to the water community. It is a tremendous loss. So thank you, Director Gardner, for bringing that forward and letting us know that his passing had occurred. And it will be certainly our honor at the appropriate time to adjourn this meeting and look forward to having a resolution be placed on our next agenda for that. Okay. Moving on to requests for future agenda items. Is there any individuals, board members who wish to request any future agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Informational items are to review at your leisure, folks. We do have a matter for closed session we'll be going into for that. We will take a couple of minutes so that we can move everybody out of Zoom and move our board members into closed session. We do have counsel here for that closed session. Brad Neufeld will be joining us for that. And can I give a time certain to start the closed session? You need about 5-6 minutes? Okay. We'll go ahead and start the closed session in 5 minutes. And thank you. Okay, everybody is moved from the waiting room back into.
Yes, we have everyone back in the Zoom session now.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go ahead and resume our regular session and have returned from closed session. Prior to announcement from closed session, we'll go ahead and take roll for the members of the board, please. Board Secretary.
Thank you. Director Roten,
Here.
Director Risby,
Here.
Director Gardner,
I'm present.
Director Torres,
Here.
President Dinstead.
I am present.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. This time we'll go ahead and have an announcement from closed session. Mr. Neufeld.
Thank you, Madam President. There is no reportable action from closed session today.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 17th. Do we have any additional business before us today that we have missed? That would be falling to Deputy General Manager.
No, we can adjourn when you're ready.
Yes. Yes, I have that notation. Okay, with that, we will go ahead and adjourn in the memory and honor of our former director, Charlie Field. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance.